Let's take a look at section 2.8, so the visible property, and nothing really that difficult here, but it gives us a chance to talk about bools. So it's kind of fun. So, all right, let's check this out. All right, so just some real quick basics about this. So visible property just honestly is it going to show up when you run it or is it not? So a Boolean property or bool is something that's set to true or false. So it's either on or off. You can't have a partial like, oh, I want this to be partially true. Nope, doesn't do that. It's either on or off. And when you put something in here, the visible property is set to true for everything. But if you did decide to make it false, like for example this one with a little Spidey, and you have false here, so when you run the program, you would not see it because it is not visible. Okay, so let's take a look really quickly at the card game. So this is the little card flip application, and it's got four things in here that we're going to take a look at. So we have two pictures. So we have the back of a card and the front of a card. So we're flipping it, we're saying. And then we have two buttons. So we have show the card back, show the card front. And you would assume that, okay, you're going to hit this, it's going to show this. So you're going to hit this button, and it's going to show the face of the card. And then you're going to use our bool property or to the true and false for the Boolean for visible to go ahead and decide which one of these is going to show up based on this. So we're going to have to modify the code a little bit. But just out of curiosity, we'll take a look at these. So let me look at each one of these. So as we look at the button and we roll down here and we say, okay, this is true. And then we come over here and we say, okay, this is true. And this first picture that shows the back of the card also visible is true. And then the face of the card. Oh, look at this. So starting at false. So you can assume, I mean, based on the fact that, well, we most likely haven't put in any code to do anything at runtime to modify this, that if we were to just roll with this, we would see the back of the card and these two buttons show up, and this would be false, so it's not going to be visible. All right, so let's go ahead and let's run it just real quick just to see. All right, so I'm going to hit the debug. We're going to come over here, this little baby. I'm going to pull down here. All right, so just like we thought, okay, so we can see the back of the card on the front of the card. Now, if I click on this, nothing's going to happen, okay, because we're already showing the back of the card. But the front of the card, and we'll look at the code here for this in just a second. If we want to show the front of the card, we click this, boom, and it swaps them. Okay, so this has been hidden, the back of the card's been hidden to give the illusion that we're flipping it over, right? And now the face of the card is visible, and we can go back and forth. So at any point, if this is already on here and I click this, nothing happens, but I can go back and forth, okay? So let's take a look at the code behind it, and we'll see kind of how this works. Now, just a quick note about this is one of the reasons why you use descriptive names. This is really important. So as you're doing these things, you can see on here, buttons show back. Obviously we're going to show the back of the card, but this one you can see the picture here. So pick card back, right? So pick card face. So having descriptive names are very important when you're doing this. It makes it much easier when you're doing when you're adding a code in here. So you can see just looking at the lines of code here as we're going along, we have showing the back. We're saying, okay, visible true, and the face is false, and then we flip it when we come down here, show face, and it flips it. Okay, so we have now that the back of the card is false, and the face of the card is true. Okay, so in this particular situation, the order really doesn't matter too much. You could switch, like for example, lines 8 and 9, you could flip those, and it would be okay. It's going to run fast enough that you really can't tell anyway. When we're doing additional code later, you'll see that sequential code is important with certain things, but for this, not that really. I don't know. It's not that big a deal. So anyway, so you can check that out. All right. So as you're doing this one, it is the card flip application, and visible property starts on page 90, and then it goes through 91, 92. 93 and wraps up on 94. So anyway, check that out. Build this little baby and see if you can get it to work. Shouldn't have any issues, hopefully. All right.